with Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, episode 46. I'm living outside my comfort zone every day. The first 4 o'clock club Zoom. And who better to do it with than Sarah Flynn, who absolutely blew me away when I went to the Awaken that she held in Liverpool. And I remember coming to you a bit lost, actually. I was like, it's almost like I felt like Mala was like, will you come to this? And again, it's trust in the universe, isn't it? Because when I came, what you spoke about was everything that I'd been feeling. And I was like, oh, here we go again. The universe is like delivering to me. So let's go back to your journey, I suppose, and how you got to where you are now, a spiritual teacher coach, and what begun that change for you.
First of all, thank you for having me. And I was
My pleasure.
absolutely overjoyed to obviously meet you at the event in Liverpool, which was gorgeous. And you described that so gorgeously, that you came into that event feeling a little bit lost or whatever, but then everything sort of was presented to you in such a way that you felt sort of aligned and you got everything that you needed to hear. That's kind of in a nutshell. The greatest way to describe what it is that I do is enlightening those who are lost and bringing them back into alignment, because there's nothing worse than that feeling of feeling a bit disconnected, a bit unsure, or a bit just kind of lacking direction or even certainty in where we're going. But that's where my journey began. That's where everybody's journey begins, you know.
We've all got to feel that place of, right, something's got to change, something's got to give, and I think it's in them moments, isn't it, of choosing different for yourself.
Absolutely. And we've got to experience the contrast. So, for anyone who is listening who does feel sort of lost or stuck or disconnected in any kind of way, just take it as guidance, as feedback that, yeah, like you said, Sarah, something needs to change, something is out of alignment. And that's all we're trying to do, is discover what's within us and bring that forwards into alignment so that our inner reality and outer reality can match. But where my journey started was this kind of real pivotal moment. And I always say my journey started when I was 28, which is the year of your Saturn return, if you know anything of astrology.
I know, but go on.
Yeah. So even though I say my journey started at 28, I'd say that's where my first ever spiritual awakening struck like lightning. And like I had one of those like flash moments where your life changes before your eyes. Before that, though, I'd say realistically, now that I've reflected on it, I've always kind of lived unknowingly to me, in alignment with my inner spirit. I just didn't know I was doing it when I was doing it.
Right. Yeah.
But what put me on this path was finding myself at age 28, spinning those wheels, completely lost, completely disconnected, living a life that was definitely not the truest reflection of who I knew I was inside, feeling like a very small, shriveled up, shrunken version of myself, just absolute top, self-sacrificer, living for everybody else.
Absolutely.
Not having the courage to reveal who I truly was, and instead sort of merging and morphing to become like the people who were around me. And I'd been in this long-term relationship, and that wasn't a healthy relationship. I wasn't happy in that. And I didn't know who I was outside of that. I had no clue.
And do you think there's going to be so many women who can relate to all these feelings? And I remember feeling all them feelings. But I also remember feeling this gut feeling, this feeling of a yearning that there was different for me. So in them moments of like what you said is, I'm not in alignment, I'm feeling all these feelings, but I also knew there was different for me. And that was so powerful about listening to what my body was telling me in them moments of sitting at the end of a 16-year relationship, of the brink of my life about to just change. I remember, but Sarah, there's something more.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. And so this is kind of the pathway, because I think there's one version of us that was listening to the voice of ego and the voice of fear, and it created the path that we used to exist in, and it created that reality. But no matter how, as you say, disconnected and far away from your true self you feel in that reality, there's still always that whisper or that gut feeling or just that niggling feeling that doesn't leave you, that says there's definitely more for me to discover. And a knowing I am meant for more than this.
It honestly, it resonates so much with me because I remember feeling all these feelings, but equally petrified at the thought of it because it's the unknown, isn't it? And it's about in them moments, I suppose, of the uncertainty is trusting,
Mm.
actually trusting. And that's
Yeah.
also hard, isn't it?
Well, yeah, which brings us to actually, it is really hard to trust yourself when you've spent or found yourself in a position where you've not been trusting yourself and you've made a habit and a practice of not trusting yourself and not listening to yourself and not using your voice and having yourself dimmed down. And every time you don't hold a promise to yourself, or every time you get a intuitive feeling that something's not right and you dismiss it and you keep moving forwards anyway, all of this is self-betrayal on some level. And so you actually become like your own worst enemy. You know, you've got this soul inside of you, the knowing, that's trying to lead you through your intuition, through your gut feeling, through the goosebumps that you get when you know something's
Obviously.
right.
Absolutely.
But the thing is we're not, and this is a big part of the work that I do, we're not taught to trust that intuitive voice. We're not taught to trust our bodies. We're not taught to trust the energy that we feel. We're actually taught all of the opposite, which takes us, especially as women, I can only speak from a woman's perspective because
Yeah.
that's what I am. But I know for me as a woman, I know that was my story. It might not be everybody's story. That
Yeah.
was my story. My story was, I have a voice, but it's not safe to use it. I won't be valued in this world for my feminine gifts. So I'm going to have to be a bit more like the men in this world if I want to succeed. I need to, not be so emotional, not be so sensitive, not be any of these things, not be my creative, fun, bubbly self, because that's not how you succeed in this world. Do you know what I mean? You have to.
It's so relatable. Like it's so true, isn't it? Like honestly, like them words that you're saying just make me feel like so that it's okay because so many of us and still do feel that way is that we've been conditioned almost to live inside this box and that's where we must remain because if we live outside that then like for me is if I live outside that box am I going to be accepted.
Oh, yeah, and the fear of rejection is gut-wrenching.
It is, and it's almost like that's where the hard work comes in, isn't it? Is living outside that box and then taking a deep breath, then and then nobody rejects you because for being your true self. It's really powerful, isn't it? But it's bloody scary stepping outside that box.
It's so scary, and at the same time, it's so scary and it's so painful either way, and where I've come to on the journey, and I kinda touched on this a little bit in the Liverpool event, was pick your hard. It is going to be hard shrinking and living in this box that is not destined for you for the rest of your life. Let me tell you, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be painful, it's gonna be disgusting being in that box. It's equally going to be as grueling and as disgusting and as painful stepping out of that box, right?
Yeah, so it's like which do you choose, and that's a really powerful thing, isn't it? So in the moments of like of like for me, I had a choice. Do I stay in a 16-year relationship that doesn't fulfill me because it feels easy, but it isn't, or do I walk away and start a whole new life? And it's them choices we make, and I chose to step into the unknown, and it damn hard work. Do I regret the hard work? Absolutely not, because I could have stayed in something that was going to be much harder to not be aligned, not to be the true version of myself. But it's, again, you choose your hard, don't you?
You pick your heart and listen, like everything is energy, and you are either like the creator of your destiny or you're the consumer of someone else's destiny that they've laid out for you. And I think it's in that moment that's what sort of gives you the courage to take a leap in the end, is like you come home to the fact that you are the creator. I think in those moments where we're so lost and where we're so disconnected, it's fear that's driving our vehicle. It's not faith. And this was how I spent a big portion of my younger years, was fearful, like fearful to actually do what I wanted to do. And I still did a lot of things that I would never change from when I was younger, but there were other opportunities or other pathways that I didn't quite give myself permission to step into because of the fear or the lack of self-belief or the lack of confidence or the fear of what people would think.
But
And staying in that long-term relationship that I was deeply unhappy in, full of anxiety, so far away from myself because it was not an environment in which I could thrive.
absolutely.
It's like, I think, and don't get me wrong, I don't regret that either. I think I needed to learn everything that I needed to
Yeah.
learn to experience both sides of the coin. But once that learning was complete, and this is where the spirituality comes into it, once that learning is complete and your soul has kind of gathered all of the data that it needed to gather in that learning experience, and it's then time for you to go forwards. And in my case, share my journey and teach others what I now know and how I evolved out of that and transitioned into creating a new pathway and a new life for me. Once that learning is complete and it's time to do that, like you just know it's done. You just know it's done. And it's it's that leap that you talk about, that
Yeah.
leap which requires so much courage, but it doesn't come overnight. And this is where I think people can get sort of stuck, is thinking, well, if I had have sat there and thought, well, I've got to get out this relationship and start a whole new life and create a business and a podcast and all
Yeah.
of these things, like I'm never going to get started with even the smallest of things.
It's tiny steps, isn't it? And let's talk about courage to choose different for yourself. And that courage is everything, isn't it? And more of like, I remember the courage was there. I had to trust, courage, trust. And it isn't an overnight process. It's knowing that, like, for me, I had to you leave everything behind. I started again from scratch. Did I have my life together? Absolutely not. Again, it's that knowledge, that trust. Actually, do you know what? But I'm here, and this is where I need to be right now. Like trusting that where you are right now is where you're meant to be. And in the midst of it, it feels like I don't want to be. But honestly, you've got to go through every lesson. And another thing I think is important to say, will the universe keep giving you the same lesson
Mm.
until you've took it and you've learned from it?
Essentially, yeah. So I believe, this is my belief, that I believe that we came here with our soul sort of contract already in place with the
Mm,
lessons that we said that we would learn. In order for me, let's think about it this way. In order for me to show up and teach what I teach, in order for this to be the destiny that is mine, and in order for me to properly fulfill this role, I needed to experience all of that to prepare me
yeah,
for this role. Yeah.
yeah,
Now, if I did not leap when I leapt, which was when I was 28, then the business that I created, the podcast, the retreats, the events, the thousands of women who've probably heard my story at this point over the last 6, 7, 8 years, they may not have then, there's a butterfly effect.
yeah.
They needed to hear that message, and maybe in this lifetime, they needed to hear it from me.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that so much. Yeah,
And so it's like, if I didn't say yes in that moment, and God, universe, creators, like, you agreed, you agreed, we had we had a deal, you were gonna do this, right? And I chose, then yeah, possibly another 10 years of my life might have gone by, another 20, however many, doesn't matter. But would that niggle have ever left me? That there was work for me to do, that there was more for me to step into?
Mm,
Absolutely not. And the same cycles would have kept repeating, or the
yeah,
same opportunities would have kept presenting themselves in order for me to try to get the message that I need to
Yeah,
learn to trust myself, believe in myself, take a leap,
yeah,
it would have kept presenting itself.
yeah. So I suppose it's there, isn't it? Things are going to keep presenting until you take it, and I think that comes a big thing for me is in dating and men. I suppose for me is a big lesson of like people presenting these emotionally unavailable men because I'm not healed enough to I don't love myself and self-worth, and these men keep I'm sure they're all lessons, just I mean everything's coming at me. I almost feel is to teach me and to bring me my triggers. So a lot of like I
Mm,
feel like a lot of people are bringing triggering parts of me, and I see them as a lesson always. Like
mm.
I don't see it as, but I feel like they're parts of me that need to heal, ready for me to allow a healthy love into my life. If I don't heal them parts of me, then I aren't able to bring who's meant to be my soulmate in.
Yeah, because you will repeat what is unconscious until you've actually witnessed the lesson. And I've just gone through that recently in the past year where I had a it was like the final light bulb moment of a lesson that's been on repeat and a pattern that's just repeated itself in so many different ways in my life. And I'll share with you what the lesson was. The lesson was being influenced by people outside of me. And that has been a pattern that I've only just now finally been able to see and witness how many times the same story has shown up, and I've almost allowed someone outside of me to have more of a say on me and my life than me. And it's happened across the board, whether it's been like
Yeah.
bosses in jobs,
Mm.
relationships, friendships, like just different things, even spirituality to a degree. I started to give me power away to other teachers outside of me and other
Mm.
experiences and things like that. So the big lesson and the big learning that I'm just coming out of has been one of influence, and just how, we're all influenced in this world. Like, we're influenced as soon as we open our
If
eyes.
you wake up, yeah, absolutely.
As soon as we wake up, like, we're getting programmed all of the time, marketed to all of the time, all of the things, all of the time. And so the big reminder in that for me is, if we're not influencing our own energy upon the world,
Yeah,
we're having that done to us
absolutely.
outside of us. So yeah, I really feel like I'm done with the lesson on influence.
Absolutely. You know what? When a lesson comes and goes, I'm like, okay, that's enough of that one now. Do you know what I mean? But like when you come
No.
out of it, like is this almost I feel like better version of myself, the higher version, I can see more clearly. I'm like, I can understand now why I needed that lesson. I needed that somebody to teach me that. And I feel like it's really incredible. So for example, like when women come to you, I suppose how do you get them to do that work of understanding and guiding them back to themselves? Like, I think, how do you guide them back to the soul, that the yearning that they've got inside of them?
Do you know what I find it is like with soul work, it's that calling, isn't it? And that person, you can never force someone to be ready to listen to that calling. When they are ready, when someone is ready to hear the message that I've got to speak, or when someone's gathered enough trust in themselves and enough courage to come to an event, or, you know, to listen to what it is that I'm teaching or sharing, I think they're just open and willing. They've had enough of the suffering at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you hit your rock bottom. Everybody hits that rock bottom. And that rock bottom is actually a gorgeous place. As horrible as it is,
Yeah.
it's so gorgeous because in that moment, the version of us that's been trying to hold it all together is just such a limited version of us that, we think we know best. We're trying to control the outcomes. We're trying to drive this car, run this
Yeah.
ship. And it's like
Mhm.
the minute you hit the rock bottom, whatever that rock bottom looks like for you, is the minute God can get to work, is the minute your soul can step forwards. Your ego gets out the way, your soul steps forwards, and something, whether you believe in God, universe, or whatever, there's an energy that is indescribable that takes the lead in that moment. And you have no choice other than to surrender to that energetic pull that you're feeling, because everything you've tried prior didn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know what, like, I think when you get that awakening of that, right, I've had enough, and I almost can feel where I was at with it, and I was like, there's something different, and things kept happening to me. So I ended the relationship, and then things started to fall into place without me needing to do anything. Like almost like the house I got. Obviously, I had to do some work, but I got a house that was near to the boys' school, and and because I almost let go, and I put no pressure on it, it almost felt like, as long as I trust that
Hmm.
things will naturally flow the way they're meant to. And I learned so much from that. Is like, I'm not saying that I just sat down and a house appeared. Obviously, I had to do things, but I almost knew taken this step now and I've left. I need to just allow the journey to unfold. And what a feeling of just letting go and surrendering. Such a powerful word, and it? Just to surrender to right, I'm letting go. I'm letting go of what my ego is saying. My ego absolutely drives me. I feel like I'm in a relationship with it, that I'm trying to dump it and it keeps coming back.
I know. I know.
Like it's so powerful though, isn't it? Your ego, like so powerful. Like, but I'm doing better with it, and it's like I can feel this woman. But I've also got the ego going, who do you think you are? Like, what are you doing? Get back to who you used to be.
I know. I
And
know.
it's them layers of
That's
coats again, isn't it? Like, I love that. I still come back to that all every day. That honestly has like changed my life. Like,
I
let's
love
talk
that.
like the coats like that we all have on us.
Yeah. Well, so this is it. That's a good analogy as well to the work that I do. So if someone comes to me at their, let's say, rock bottom, or their complete, confusion as to the crumbling that seems to be happening around them, it's at that point that we can just say, you know what, like, just stop trying to be, do, and have all of the things. Just let go, let it all go, put it all down. It's like tools down, back off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tools down, back off, let it all go. Let's come back to the spirit within, to the soul, to the version of you that is infinite, that is wise, that has probably lived many lifetimes before, that's garnered so much experience of what life gets to be like as a human. And there's this dance I find between like the human and the soul. We forget that we're energetic beings. We forget that, we're made of stardust. We're made of the same stuff in this universe. We're part of this cosmos that's all interconnected. And usually, when we do find ourselves at that rock bottom or the tower moment or whatever has happened, the crumbling, it's because we forgot that we were so connected to all of this outside of us. We became a smaller version of us who just thought she was just a human being, just going through the motions, just going from A to B, but forgetting there's magic in your veins, like, let's say. And so then a big part of the work that I like to do is getting rid of the stories or the labels that have been placed upon someone, which has then defined who they now show up as. One person, let's say in school, says that you're shy or you're something, and then you adopt that, you internalize that and make it your story, and you make it this part of you, and you really begin to believe that this is who you are. And then because you believe that, you're shy or you talk too much or you're not good enough or you're not the most talented one in the class or whatever, this goes on to shape every decision you ever make in your
Everything.
life.
Yeah.
So we kind of unpick and unweave the stories, as in, like, for me, that point of being 28, 11 years into an unhappy relationship, felt so isolated, felt so far away from who I truly was. It's like, how did I get here? How? And the how that I got there was all of the stories that I believed about myself.
Honestly, I'm feeling, I don't know what's going on, but I'm feeling so emotional, like, because everything you say is so true to, and I know it will be for everybody who listens as well. It's so powerful what you're saying. Like, I need to take a deep breath. Like, it feels like I'm one of, like, the way that it's so powerful though, isn't it? It's so
Yeah.
powerful when you understand that there's more for you. There's beyond all this layers, beyond. I remember, I can feel it. I can feel like that version of me so tight, and so watching my life crumble in front of me and looking at it, thinking you can have a look at it two ways, can't you? Is the breaking of you or the making of you. And I remember looking at everything in front of me, and I thought, I have a choice now of getting rid of all them stories of just not being enough, and that little girl and everything else, and I had to make a choice. You have to make a choice in that moment. I was like, no, this has got to be the making of me, and I've got to pick them pieces up and put them back together as a whole new version of me. But so powerful.
I love it. I always say, like, in the mess is where you find your magic. And so
So
anyone
true.
who is listening, listen. Like, I have to say this because I think it's so easy for us to think that everybody's got it figured out and the path's plain sailing once you're on it. It's not. It still gets really disgustingly messy. Like,
And how it's hell on earth, and I think it's important to talk about that. Is that it isn't an easy process, but the
it's
outcome is incredible.
grueling. Yeah, it's grueling, but you wouldn't actually have it any other way, because to have it any other way is, yeah, you might coast through life and you might get from A to B quite safely, but that's not a life well lived. It's not. Like, experiences that are tough, that are challenging, they shape your spirit, they mold you, they give you character, they give you strength and resilience. And so I wouldn't change any of the tough, horrible, grueling moments that I've been through, because that would mean undoing who I now am today. And I
Absolutely.
and you're just like, well, who would I actually be? I'd feel like an empty shell if I didn't have
Honestly,
those experiences which have created that strength and that inner
that
knowingness
depth,
inside.
it's
The
that
depth.
depth and that understanding of, for me, is the strength that I have and the power that I have within to create the life that I want. I think we're so conditioned to believe that we have to follow the norms of, we go to school, then we go to university and we get a job and we get married and we have kids. That's what was instilled in me. Nothing about who I was as a person. What does Sarah Luby bring to the world? And in my darkest times, and that means on the floor, horizontal sometimes, and not being able to get out of bed, is where my biggest lessons came. Is
Yeah.
that learning that actually I have myself to fall back on, and that I am powerful, and I still forget it sometimes, and I'm okay with that. But
Mm,
I'm learning slowly that I am powerful, and I've always got myself to come back to.
mm.
Um, but yeah, that I feel like I'm on an awakening session right now, because, like, so yeah, it's that deep meaning into it's jumping into the unknown, it's trusting yourself in the mess.
Yeah. And I cannot stress that enough, is that the messy moments are where your magic is just waiting to be discovered. And you've
Absolutely.
got to lean into the hard and the disgusting and the grueling. And you do have to confront the decisions that you've made and the paths that you've chosen, which have brought you to where you are. It's literally like, this is a path of radical self-responsibility. Like, there's no other way to it. Do you know what I mean? Any lesson, any experience, anything that is, like, not enjoyable for you, just honor what brought you to that point. Just honor it, just acknowledge it. All it needs is your acknowledgement in order to cease to exist, is like
Yeah.
an acknowledgement. And so, yeah, when I was 28, and that version of me who knew that I was meant for so much more, it was having to come face to face with all of the stories and the labels that I'd lived under, that which brought me to that point. And what needed to happen in order for me to have the courage to take the leap was I need to have a shift in perspective as to who I believed I was.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's so powerful. Yeah.
And so that's why I love doing that meditation with everyone in my events where we take the coats off, because these coats that we've been wearing, this identity that we've felt so heavy under, that was never truly, truly, truly ours. It's like guiding people back into that space of who are you without the projections? Who are you when you're not trying to live up to your parents' expectations? Who are you when you're not just trying to be liked? You know, who are you when you just don't give an F anymore? Like, and you actually come home to your soul essence, because we've all got our own unique frequency and essence and way of self-expression. When we share our words, when we share the music that we like, the way that we dress, like all of it is self-expression from the soul. If you're being true to you, you can look like a clone and go around like everyone and never stand out, and you will not be magnetic to life. You will not be magnetic to opportunities. You will, just repeat, like past lessons, past cycles, whatever, all because you're trying so hard to fit in and be liked and be appeasing to everybody,
Yeah.
which is so damaging for the soul. And listen, I go in and out of cycles of this. I am not I have not mastered
No,
this. This is
no.
my life. This is my life's path to walk it and to learn it and to forget it and to learn it and to forget it.
I think
And
that's
that's
an
another
important
thing.
thing. Yeah. Important thing to say is it's okay if you're on that journey, but also you just step off a little bit. It's how you rein yourself back in to actually, right, I veered off a little bit. How do we get back on track?
Yeah, it's totally okay to be on your journey one minute, find yourself lost again the next. It's totally okay to be empowered and confident one minute and then to listen, life happens and life gets hard. And sometimes we get pushed down and knocked over to the point where it takes the wind out of you and you do lose your confidence again for a minute and you do forget who you are for a minute and the fear does take over again for a minute. And that's all okay. That's all okay.
Absolutely.
But
It's how you bounce back into it.
it's how you bounce back. It's not staying there. It's remembering you are not that. This is temporary. This emotion is temporary. It's not even about pushing it away and forcing it away. It's like you said before, you're at your rock bottom. You don't want to be there, but the minute you surrender to the fact that you are there and it's okay to be there is the minute that the universe can truly get to work, because you're not resisting it anymore. You're not trying to push it away. You're not trying to make it wrong. You're not trying to make it bad. You're just like, right, okay, this is where I am.
Mm.
And I'm going to be an acceptance of where I am. I know it's not the truth of who I am. I will not remain here forever, but I will take the lessons and I will turn this mess into magic and this shit into gold. Like, whilst I'm here, whilst I am down on my knees begging for mercy, I will take this crap that I'm literally, and I'm gonna transmute it and I'm gonna alchemize it and I'm gonna be the person who, let's say, in my family line, breaks this cycle. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be the person where this story stops with me. Maybe you recognize there's a story that was your parents or your mums or your dads or whatever, and you recognize it in your maternal lineage or your paternal, whatever, and you just go, mm-mm. Like, this is where it stops. It stops
But
with me.
it stops, but then the hard work begins. So I think anybody who decides at that point to do that is incredible.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy, isn't it, to carry on with the generational cycles, the generational trauma, what you've been brought up to do. It takes a very powerful and amazing person to go, actually, I'm going to change this right now.
Mm.
Because again, choosing your hard, it's bloody damn hard to change the way you've been brought up, the layers, to take the layers off, to expose yourself quite vulnerably. Because I think as my coats have come off, I've felt quite vulnerable, because then I
Mm.
feel like, because I'm exposing myself as somebody that nobody really knows. And sometimes
Mm.
I haven't known, like, who is this version of myself who's presenting today? And that can almost feel really vulnerable. But in that vulnerability, I go, well, this is truly you, Sarah. So anybody who then comes to reject that, that is okay also, because the right people who love you authentically are the people for you. And I think
Mm.
it's a powerful thing to say, once you start living authentically beyond the layers, you do perhaps lose some people because they've got no idea of who this person is. And they will almost try bring that person down as well. Like, who are you? How dare you be you? Put them coats back on. And it's in them moments of, like, again, being brave enough to say, no, 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 this is me. And I've had some really vulnerable moments where I've thought about just sitting, putting all the coats back on. And it, yeah, because it's quite scary, isn't it? But
Oh, it is.
it is. But actually, I'm so proud to say that I'm leaving the coats off now. I'm leaving the limitations. Leaving that. I'm not leaving the versions of myself. They've made me. They've made me who I am. And I'm so compassionate towards all them younger versions of myself, because without them experiences, without them, I wouldn't be this woman
Mm.
today. But
Mm.
yeah, it's it's a powerful journey, isn't it? It's a powerful journey.
And like you said there, like in those moments where you do feel exposed, just know you're doing it right. If it feels disgusting and like uncomfortable and messy and you feel vulnerable and you feel like icky and you feel like all of these things,
Honestly.
you are doing it right. If you
And
feel
then,
safe and
yeah.
comfortable and you're chilling, you're not doing it
And
right.
normally in that messy part, I would have leaned, I've come, right, no, I can't deal with that. So now what I do, if I'm in and I can feel like a trigger coming, or like I'm feeling like uncomfortable, I say, right, I take a minute and I go, this is your moment to lean in.
Mm.
Lean in to what's feeling uncomfortable. Because if I really want to get where I want to in life, I've got to lean into the uncomfortable triggers that come, or oh, can't do this, can't do that. Well, actually lean into it. Ask, it's about asking. I always ask myself the question, what is this that you're feeling today? What
Mm.
is this that you think you can't do? And I always ask, what would my 90-year-old self do?
Mm.
Absolutely. Go and do it.
Yeah, no, but it's a great one that taking advice from your older self
Yeah.
and and your inner child, and if you consult both of them in any decision, you're gonna come out with the right answer for you. You know, because they're so the wise. Our inner child lives on inside of us. This is another core part actually of the work that I do is once we've taken all of those coats off,
Yeah.
which we put on at certain points in our life because of different experiences, we're able to then see ourselves through the lens of the inner child and just that childlike essence that we come into the world with, this aura and this like curiosity and this just this purity about us when we're born. And it's it's the coats and it's the labels and it's the projections and it's the stories that we tell ourselves where we slowly start to chip away and dim down our own light. But from the ages of like 0 to 7 or even 0 to a little bit older, like before we're fully like aware of the conditioning, before the conditioning has fully taken hold, there's versions of us that exist that we can tap into that remind us of who we are, that makes our spirit feel the most free. For example, what was it that we used to love to do? And I remember when I was a kid, like I loved making up dances and I'd hide behind the curtains and put on a show for like my aunties and uncles and mum and dad, and everything was about performance. I wanted to be in front of people. I wanted to be dancing for them, making them laugh. I don't think I was singing because I think I knew even then I'm not a singer. I don't think I would sing, but definitely like dancing, performing behind the curtains, practicing a dance routine for hours, colouring in. I remember collecting rose petals from the garden and trying to make a perfume. I remember like just doing all of these things. I remember asking my granddad for a telescope because I was obsessed with the stars. And it's like she knew who she was. She knew, there was no question about it. Where that changed was real life got in the way. You know, you have to pick a sensible career, you need to go to uni, you need to do all that box stuff that we talked about earlier. And the more that I prioritized the box stuff, the less the things that made my spirit feel free got prioritized until eventually they're non-existent. You know, and you tell yourself this story like, oh, it's stupid as an adult to like join a dance class or do this or do that because you know you've got responsibilities now and bills to pay and whatever. And the older you get, the harder it becomes actually to like
Mhm.
start a new hobby. But it's these things that actually you've got to tap into what makes your spirit feel free. You've
That
got to
inner
be
child.
around. Yeah, and your spirit is your inner child, and you've got to put yourself in environments where your inner child feels free to express herself and not to be judged or criticized or shamed. Because this is also another big part of what brings forwards like what is truly in your heart and what is truly in your soul. It's this expression. And maybe there was parts in childhood, maybe you didn't feel that you had the safest environment to be your full childish self. And maybe that got stunted a little bit. Maybe maybe you did, but you forgot for a while and you've prioritized other things. You know, everybody's journey is different, but I know for me, like my experience was feeling like my creative gifts were never truly seen or valued in the world at large. Everything was about career, education, certificates,
Yeah.
and you know the logical. Everything was about using your logic. So for me, I just made this unconscious. Well, I made a conscious decision, but it let you know I didn't realize where it was coming from. That creativity doesn't pay in the world. Creativity isn't valued. And that was where essentially I switched off the feminine part of me. And then I became this very much more logical, practical version of self. And I forgot all of the parts of me that loved creativity. I used to songwrite when I was a kid. I probably
Really?
didn't, yeah, I probably didn't sing them, but I remember
You just
writing songs. And you know, like poems, flower picking, making daisy chains, like just all of the things that you do so innocently with no attachment to any
Yeah.
outcome.
And it makes your soul sing a little bit, doesn't it? It's coming back to the basics. I work with children in care, and I think that's where my inner child thrives. That's
Oh, I
where
love that.
being a mum, obviously. Um, they bring that inner like child out. So like we'll go to the skate park and I'll be on the scooter. And honestly, when I do them things, I can almost feel me inner child going, this is good. Like I think we forget sometimes it's okay to just have fun.
Mm.
Like it was so conditioned to be, well, if you're an adult, well, you can't be doing this, this, and this. I absolutely love having fun. Like I'm going to the splash park in Stafford after school. I will be in the splashing part, like because that it gives me that feeling of like, I don't know, it's just an incredible feeling to just come back to that fun part of me, like that fun, like it almost feels like I'm healing that inner child of, oh, it's okay to do them things. And
It
it's so, I think
absolutely
in,
is.
yeah.
It absolutely is. And this is what it's all about is taking off the coats, shedding the layers. This is usually when we are so lost and disconnected and far away from our true self, all that's essentially happened is we forgot to prioritize that which brings us joy. We forgot. Or, and we were getting nudges that maybe this friend isn't the right friend for us. Maybe this relationship isn't the right relationship for us. Maybe this job isn't the right job for us. But we didn't listen to the nudges. And so when we find ourselves in these tower moments, in these crumblings, usually when you come out of the depth of it and you come out of the pain and the mess of it, you'll be able to go, I knew. I knew that I wasn't listening to myself. I knew that that was the wrong path. I knew that that was going to end that way.
Mm.
I didn't trust my inner voice. I didn't prioritize my joy.
So how do I suppose people then start to, listen after ignoring it for so long?
Well, that is a slow process. That's a That's a process of getting back into a relationship with self. Because what you've been doing is you've been in relationship with everything and everyone else outside of you, but you forgot about the relationship with yourself. And so it's a slow thing. It's like when you go to the gym and you work out for the first time, you don't see the six pack or the muscles straight away.
I mean, I wish I did.
I know, so do it.
Absolutely.
But it actually, if you want to get the most out of the gym, you make it a lifestyle choice. You don't
Yeah,
go for the quick shred or the quick
yeah,
whatever, unless that's your thing. It
yeah.
might be. But if you truly, truly want to get the best out of it, you make it a lifestyle choice and you put in the work, even on the days when you don't want to do it. You go because you know it's going to A, be good for your mental health, B, it's going to help with your physical shape, and you're going to feel more confident and loving of your body by doing it. It works the exact same with your soul, with your trusting of self. It's about then going, right, where where do I feel the niggle, or where do I feel this hunch or this intuition that something's not right, you know? And then listening to it and going, I hear you. Maybe I can't rationalize what my intuition is trying to tell me right now. Maybe I think this person in front of me is a really good person, but my intuition is telling me don't get too close. Well, listen to the intuition, because your body is sensing things in the energetic realms that your mind has not yet been able to rationalize or see. So,
That's happened to me quite recently, and years ago I would have ignored it. I went for a walk with a person, and my body was almost like alarm bells were going off, like this sense of anxiety and like just really triggering. And years ago I would have just ignored that and like, carried on. And I was like, no, Sarah, your body knows the score. Like that is now the time to listen. And you know what? I listened,
yeah.
and it's so powerful, but it's taken a long, long time to understand that my body knows, like my body
Mm.
knows, it just knows. And it's learning to trust that and building that relationship with yourself where your body your mind wants to keep you safe, and it will tell you when something isn't safe.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm glad you listened to that. But that's an example, or like one example of just rebuilding trust in yourself, is
Yeah.
getting that intuitive feeling, and instead of dismissing it and saying, no, Sarah, it's you,
Mhm.
just push that feeling to the side, see this person again, or whatever the situation might be. There's your self betrayal when you do that.
No,
Yeah.
do you know what I said? No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And and I took the power back because, old Sarah 2 years ago would have just gone, oh, it's all right, my body doesn't know. And now I'm like,
Mm.
even like just day to day, I know. And I'm almost now knowing like when I feel aligned and when I don't feel aligned. Like this now, I can tell I feel so aligned. I feel like this. It's a bizarre feeling. And to anybody in the, I suppose, the beginning of their journey, it isn't easy. It doesn't come naturally. It does take a lot of work of trusting yourself, doesn't it, and building that relationship. And I suppose that's where you come in and doing all that work and that unraveling. And when I came to awaken that day, the universe guided me there. I have no doubt about it. I've never felt the same in a positive way. I almost, what really resonates with me is when you talked about that ball of fire
Mm.
inside. And when I've now doubts in my mind, I come back to that moment. That's how powerful your awaken was, because honestly, I've never gone back to. I've always like since coming there, and I've gone back to that older version of myself, because when I've started having them feelings of right, I'm not worthy, and that ball of fire comes into my mind of sitting there and remembering, and it all comes up of who I am. And so your work that you do is like, for me, it took my journey onto the next level of
Mm.
understanding who I am, and that I think we forget sometimes that there's only one of us. Like what I bring to the table is incredible, and it's understanding that, isn't it? Like, so yeah,
Mm.
that ball of fire.
I love that. I think with everything that I do, but particularly with that event, I knew the energy behind it was going to be there will be a before version of you and there will be an after the event version of
Mhm.
you. Because that was my solid intention was like we're going to take these women, we're going to give them the fire, we're going to give them the butterfly wings, and they are going to fly on the other side of this because I'm going to remind them of that. That was the whole intention of the energy, is remind them that they're so much more than whatever pain or struggle or challenge or self-doubt story that they're telling themselves. And on that, with you saying like obviously the universe aligned and got you in that room, you got yourself in that room.
Yeah.
And that's where, that's to add on to the self-trust piece. You could have seen that and said no to that opportunity. Like you could have not trusted yourself enough to come from Stoke to Liverpool, by the way, and put yourself in a
Yeah.
room full of women who you'd never met before, with, me hosting the event who you'd never even met before, but you knew instinctively
Just
there was something in it and there was a pull and you said yes to it. So that's the self-trust piece. The self-trust piece is also not just using it to stay away from what's not right for you, but using it as a tool to pull you towards that which is, even if it doesn't make logical sense, even if
absolutely.
like you're feeling called to a destination or to a place and or to an event and it doesn't make the most logical sense for you to go. It's about building that trust in your voice and listening to that inner voice and allowing it to guide you. I'm going to give you an example of this because this was something I did just last week. My inner voice, my soul, was saying, I really need nature. I need a full day in nature. I usually go out hiking with friends and all the rest of it. This day or this week, I was like, I need nature and I need it on my own. And I don't want to go with anybody else. And there's a waterfall that I love in Wales. And I couldn't get this vision out my head of me sitting at this waterfall and just feeling so soothed by the sound of the water and the trees all around me. And as I say, I would usually do something like that with like friends. So this was kind of like the first time that I was taking myself on a hike by myself, like fully. And obviously the voice creeps in of like, will you be safe? Will it be okay? Da da da, all the rest of it. And I'm like, of course you will. Like I've been there before. I know what I'm doing. Like I'm just driving to Wales and going to this waterfall.
Mhm.
But it was funny because I actually did feel a little bit apprehensive on the day driving to Wales because I was going by myself. I put my phone on
Mhm.
airplane mode and I was kind of like on do not disturb.
Mhm.
And as I was driving down there, I was thinking, there's definitely a lesson in this for me today. And I wonder what it is. It'll become clear when I get there what this lesson is. Anyway, had me gorgeous day, was driving home, and it came to me. The lesson was just in strengthening that trust with my inner voice. There was nothing else to it. That was an exercise in acknowledging what it was that I needed, listening, and giving myself permission to have what I needed. And there was so many things that day that could have stopped me from going. For a start, the weather wasn't going to be great. And I could have allowed that to stop me and go, oh well, it's gonna rain all day. Like there's no point in going. But the soul calling was bigger than that. It was bigger than the rain, it was bigger than the things that didn't make
Yeah.
sense. There was an edge and there was a need and it literally felt like the waterfall was pulling me in. Like it was like, you
Mhm.
have to be here, you have to get yourself here. And my lesson in that was, oh, this was just an exercise in trusting my inner voice, giving
Yeah.
myself what I need. And there it is. It's in those moments. That's how you're building the trust because you get to add that to your bank of evidence
Yeah.
that you heard your soul whisper for something. You took action on it. You gave yourself permission to do the thing, and good came from it. So next time, who knows? What I might attempt by myself. But the point is you just listen and you move, and that's
So
where the trust comes.
I made a big step this week in growth. I mean, we're an hour in, so we'll wrap this up in a minute. But I have a big thing about being vulnerable in telling people how I feel to the opposite sex. Like that's a big thing for me because I've got a big rejection abandonment wound from childhood. I've done it. And I did it, and I could feel this. My body's saying, "This is your time now to take a deep breath and just tell this person how you feel." Let me tell you something. 2 years ago, that would have absolutely put me on the floor because I don't know what the reaction, what the comeback to that would be. Like,
Yeah.
you could say no, yes, but actually, my body told me that this. How do you expect people to know how you feel if you're always so shut off? So I took a deep breath and I trusted myself and I sent the message. I can't tell you how much growth that is for me, how much that is for me about listening to myself, listening to know that I've got myself if whatever it comes back with. And I want people to know that yes, right now you might not feel like you can do these things, but because I didn't 2 years ago, but by building that relationship with myself and to understand if that person rejects you or if that person doesn't like you, that doesn't affect me, and that and it's okay for me to like that person and to allow that person to know that. Honestly, it felt like winning the lottery to me.
No, I can imagine. The
Because
dopamine hit would have been real.
and just like be able to just say, just to trust again, I'm telling you because it's about trusting, like trusting myself that it's okay, and that calling to say just send the message. My
Mm.
body told me, and normally I would have gone no, no, but I lent into it and I lent into it. And again, that's a tick for me. Healing, that's part of okay. It's okay to do them things. So, like I'm ticking them off left, right, and center.
Oh, I love it. That's it. Like lean into the edge of knowing yourself and knowing where you would normally contract in a situation like that. Now you're presented with an opportunity. Do I contract or do I want to expand and grow beyond this pattern that I would usually do?
Yeah.
And again, our patterns are so deeply conditioned into us that you don't just do it once and then you've erased your pattern from your history. You got to do it again and again
And
and
you've got
again
to like
and again.
make new neural pathways, haven't you? You've got to make new alignments. You've got to like, so for me, I know that's a big step, but I know again I'll perhaps come up again against it. But if I want to allow the right people into my life, I need to be able to vocalize the way I feel. And that's okay. And I think like from all this, like today's episode is about learning to build a home within yourself.
Oh, I love those words. That was gorgeous.
Like learning to not seek external validation, not to, we live in the social media world and everything else that's so external. It's about in the moments of going for seek that external validation, about taking a deep breath and saying, who am I beyond that? Who am I
and
beyond it?
and if you have this feeling that you are meant for more, please don't ignore it. you
No,
can you can if you really want,
no,
but
you can, but please don't.
please don't,
I
because
don't.
don't recommend it. I don't recommend ignoring it. And in fact, the fact that you're listening to this podcast tells me that you're not ignoring it and that you
And
are, you know,
there's
you're
that deep
meant for more.
calling. And I tell you what, if we can, I always say with the podcast and what you do, if you can just change things for one person or just show them that there is different, and then I am so here for it. And I think what we bring a level of compassion as well because we've been through it. And I think
Absolutely.
when you've been through it and you've been through the depths of it, people can relate so much to you. So if somebody wanted to book with you, or how did they book with you? Is that on your Instagram?
Yeah, everything right now is on my Instagram. So I'm back in the space of doing events in Liverpool here monthly. The Awaken event that I did with you, Sarah, in March, I'm kind of
Yeah.
running that as a monthly
Are you doing
things.
monthly now?
Well, yeah, but smaller, intimate
Yeah.
groups, with the same sort of flow of content and stuff on the inside. Because, yeah, I really feel like that's my message at the moment, is helping people just remember who they are. And then hopefully I'll be able to offer some more things in the online space soon as well. I took a bit of a break from that in the past year, but I'm feeling things coming into this space as well. So, what I would say to anyone who's curious to learn more about things that I'm offering is always just come and find me over on Instagram. My Instagram account is at It's Sarah Flynn, and I'm sure that you guys will tag
Absolutely.
below this episode. But as I say, I'm based in Liverpool currently, so my in-person events are all Liverpool based.
And
So,
I think I might get a minibus and bring some, like, I might do like
oh, I'd love
few
that.
others to come. Do you know what I mean? Because I think like it's hard to explain the way I felt once I've done that. And I think like I'd love to share that with some people from Stoke to come to Liverpool and just experience it firsthand. Because like I said before, I've never ever I became a different version of myself from that moment.
Mm.
So I am so here for it. And thank you so, so much for coming on. Like I almost feel like this is right where I need to be. And like you came into my life and have been such a pivotal part of it, really. And I want to share what you do with all listeners, because everybody needs a Sarah Flynn in their life.
Oh, thank you. I feel like crying. Thank you,
I know
Sarah.
it's been quite powerful, isn't it? So yes, here's to Friday. It is Friday because I've never recorded on a Friday. So it's bank holiday weekend, and do you know what? Again, I am listening to my body. I've got 3 days without the boys. And I'm going to take tomorrow to just like, do you know, you just want to reset. I just need to be
Absolutely.
home and reset. And yeah, it feels, I'm just listening to what my body's telling me again, trusting the relationship. Have you got any nice plans?
Do you know what? I'm doing the exact same as you. I'm having a restful weekend this weekend. I've been doing a lot of socializing lately, so I actually feel like I just want to be in relationship with myself this
Best
weekend.
one, be.
Yeah, I just want to be not necessarily alone the whole time, but I think you get to that point on your journey where one, you really enjoy your own company, but two, it's really essential to have it, because that's when you're alone truly is when you can hear, the whispers of your soul. You can hear what your heart's desiring for. You can get into a bit of a creative flow, and I'm really wanting to utilize the gorgeous energy of this bank holiday weekend to go within, see what's waiting to come forwards, and then create more
Absolutely.
magic on the other side. So yeah, it's a solo date weekend for me, and I couldn't be
I,
happier.
I think I'm going out with friends Sunday for a few drinks because like yeah, I just feel like it's nice. It's nice weather as well, isn't it? So I'm just going to take that. But you know what? Like tomorrow, I just need to
Yeah, nothing.
reset. So I'm going to stop recording now. Let's see if this works. So thank you very much for coming on, and I'm here for the next event. So
Yes.
everybody have a good Friday. Well, this will come out Sunday, so everybody have a good Sunday. Maybe that's what I should say.
Yeah.